What's going on, guys? It's David Piatek and Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball. We got another good episode today for you guys, answering questions around the VA home loan, VA disability. It's almost the end of February, and the next thing you know, we're going to be doing our Christmas special. So make sure you guys ask any questions you guys have, drop some comments down below. I know there's just been a lot of people worried in the veteran space on just a magnitude of different benefits, right? From VA home loan benefits maybe being cut to VA disability being cut. I think there's a lot of fear mongering going on in the veteran community. And so today, please drop questions, like the video, share it so we can just get more veterans involved and just take away, I would say, the middleman in a way, because, I do things directly from the VA handbook. And Dwayne is reading what's going on right now in Congress, what's happening in legislation to see like what they're trying to do, and also a former Raider. So, you have first sight insight. So Dwayne, kick it off today on any hot button issues that veterans are worried about.
Well, I did a series of videos here in the last week and a half, but I did one, I think it was last month, where I talked about CBO Congressional Budget Office.
Oh, I saw that.
Their proposed cuts. And I could tell people didn't even watch the video. They were like, they're not, I'm like, it's just proposed. That's it. And the reason why I did that is because we still need to know who's doing what, because they had these proposed changes back in April 2023.
Oh, wow.
Right. So no one was talking about this. And I'm like, well, not that I saw anyway. And I'm like, even though they're proposing these things, somebody somewhere is putting pen to paper. And you continue to do that over and over and over again, it keeps it fresh in the people's mind that's in the room that can actually make these things happen. I don't think that they would, you talk about 18 million veterans, Democrat, Republican, Independent, all converging in DC to, share our opinion and talk to our representatives. But then the new administration came in, right? And they just, hit the ground running and doing this, and this. But how the VA is impacted, I still know people that work at the VA. They got the emails. You got the union involved. Don't fill anything out. Don't do this. But management is sitting there and saying nothing. But what I do tell VA employees is this. You need to get that Starrite insurance. I had it. You better get it, because you never know. You never know. It's a federal insurance. Now, management tells managers to get it, but they don't tell employees about it. And then you have people saying, they got to go back in office. Well, there's a little thing called Disabilities Act. If you got a reasonable accommodation, you can work from home.
Yeah.
So that trumps an executive order, no pun intended, but that's what I had. I was like, I'm working from home full time. And actually, David, I was more productive at home than working in office. And two, they don't have enough people. They don't have enough space, because when they created the PACT Act, they had all that, did a lot of hiring. There is not enough seats. So what probably ends up happening is, worst case scenario, say, yep, everybody got to go back in. They're going to have to stagger those individuals, and it's still not going to be enough room.
Wow. Yeah.
So a lot of people think, going back in the office is going to get their claims done a lot faster. No, you're going to have a lot of pissed off VA employees, and it's going to be a problem. But I remember when I was there, they had the government shutdown, and that was new, at the time.
Yeah.
And everybody was unfocused.
Yeah.
And you still have to rate cases. And I think, the first one, my team was right next to the appeals team. The appeals manager came out, told all the appeals employees to go in the conference room. And we were like, whoa. And we knew there was rumors about the shutdown. for watching the news. They come back out, they get all this stuff, lunch bag. They cutting computers off,
Oh,
and they
wow.
just all walk out. And my buddy said, "Man, I'm gonna call you." He said, "Hey, man, we just got furloughed." And I was like, "What does that mean?" He was like, "They couldn't tell us nothing. They didn't know." So then they called us, everybody else that was still there, and said, "Hey, appeals got furloughed. We don't know if you all are going to get furloughed, but right now your mission critical, but we don't know if you're going to get paid on the next paycheck. And you still got to work and you can't call off sick." So what do you think our mindset was? Was it, oh, let's get David Piatek the correct effective date? Or let me, it was just,
right.
it was hard to concentrate because then you go home. I remember sitting in my office and cutting the TV up in the living room, watching the news all day. And it was, and that was just a shutdown. I think this is worse with everything
Yeah.
that's going on.
Well, I mean, I'm 100% with you because you're probably trying to find your next job, not trying to figure out like, yeah, what case, what's happening. But I think that affects people, especially at every level at the VA, because I know the VBA works 100% remote. So now,
Right.
how do you consolidate that? What do you let people go? So there's going to be some transition piece to that. But I'll just say a couple folks have come in and said hi. I said thank you so much for joining us. Good evening, Grace. I know the dog father also said thanks for the update. Dwayne, this one's for you.
Yeah, he wish. In your dreams, Mob. In your
That's so
dreams.
funny.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for joining us today. And I know we've been doing these videos for a little while now. So a lot of my information goes, or like Dwayne's information goes out to my community, which is all veterans that, ask me questions about VA disability. That's how we came across, get to know each other. And, I was like, you know what, Dwayne, like a lot of veterans, not only have they questions about VA disability, but about VA home loan. So just to give you guys, everyone out there, if you're new, thank you for joining us, kind of a background about ourselves and what we do. So, my name is David Piatek. I'm a loan officer. I'm licensed to help people utilize their VA home loan across the country. We have the VA Housing Education YouTube channel. So if you have questions, you can go on there and pretty much anything that you want, you could learn about. And then you can actually schedule a call with me in any of my descriptions on my videos. So we can actually do a one-on-one consultation. Dwayne, what is it that you do that people could reach out to you or check out your channel about?
Right. So we have over 600 free YouTube videos where I'm talking about different topics as it pertains to the VA claims process. If someone wanted a one-on-one, you go to our website, www.kmd89.com. Contact us. You can sign up for the one-on-one. And I thought I had some here on my desk, but also you go to our website or Amazon and pick up the Amazon best-selling book, VA Claims Success, to help you navigate through the process. And we have an upcoming training this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wednesday. I'll put the link in the comment section when we get going here, but it's what makes a DBQ insufficient? Disability Benefit Questionnaire. What makes it insufficient? That gets vets in trouble when they submit it to the VA. It's not correct, and it's a problem.
Yep. Well, and he hand signs those books. I was at his house and I watched them sign books with my own eyes. So that's awesome. So thank you for that.
And we have a monthly membership inside of YouTube and outside of YouTube. So I'll be dropping those links, or you can email us and we'll get you those links as well.
Awesome. Well, let's get rolling, answering some questions. And again, guys, please drop questions. Make sure you guys hit the like button so we can get the views out there to the veteran community. So first question we have is, who's the best lender for VA loans? I have excellent credit. So that's something I mentioned just a second ago. If you guys have questions or want to get at least run through some type of scenario with your VA home loan benefits, you can schedule a call with me and I'll walk you through that. A lot of times people ask, Dwayne, even like when you were shopping for something, you're like, hey, David, can you take a look at like these different loan estimates? Like, what are these people actually offering? We'll take a look at that. But what I'll tell you guys is some people really like the big banks that market to them. And I'm going to tell you what a downside of that is that you end up paying for that marketing because it is really expensive to do something like that. So just keep that in mind when you're going through that process. And a lot of people have woken up and they're like, wait a second, he does this. Let me reach out to him. We're like, oh, wow, we saved $6,000 in fees because of origination fees and discount points. So again, you guys could see that on my channel to kind of see really and dive into that. Dwayne, this one is for you.
Why is it so hard to speak to VA rater directly? Have you considered having an active rater on as a guest? First part of that question is, yeah, it is hard to talk to a rater unless they call you. I remember my phone maybe ringing like 2 or 3 times in like a 5-year period, and I think veterans, they just got the central number and they were just hitting extensions. You know, and you could kind of get through if you knew the 7-digit number. But raters on production quotas. So if you get a rate on the phone, you're going to be one to ask like 5, 6, 7 questions, and they don't get what is called excluded time. So I have to make so many production quotas. I'm on a quota production points in an 8-hour period. So if I'm on the phone with a veteran for an hour, now I got to do 8 hours of work in a 8 hours of work in a 7-hour period. You know, and then you start rushing. Probably wouldn't have an active rater. Probably be a big conflict. I do get comments from VA employees. Some of them tell me I'm a VSR, I'm a RVSR. But for them to come on YouTube and talk about some things, I probably wouldn't even ask them to do it, probably because I know it'd be a conflict.
Yeah, I've asked the VA to come on my channel and do like an interview, and same thing. It's like 1 million approvals, and by the time you get to the top, like it's tough, unless you do one of those like CIA kind of things where you have them like sit in the background, mask their voice. You know, talking about that they do. I used to I forgot what shows they used to watch. They used to have that, but yeah, or like about the cartel, and people would be talking about it all masked. That'd be kind of funny to watch on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one is for you as well.
I was OEF, OIF. They're still recouping my severance. Do I have a fighting chance of overturn? No. When you get out and you accept that severance, I don't know why none of the branches tell veterans, hey, we're going to give you this $40K. But if you ever go and apply for benefits, they will take it back. Now, what you can do, if it has created a hardship, let's just say you're 100%, you can ask them, hey, just take 10% out each month. But if you're not 100%, what I've seen veterans do is they'll do an intent to file, and they'll wait a year to file a claim. And when they may go from 10% to 100%, now you may be talking like a $30,000, $40,000 retro, and VA just takes keeps the retro, and then you get the 100% going forward. But no, you cannot overturn that. If it's a hardship, then you can say, hey, take 10% out, and you probably pass away before it's all the way paid back.
Oh, wow. Next question is, this is a good one, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this. So I just listed my home for sale. A non-veteran said they want to assume my loan, which is 2.6%. And I'm like, why should they get the benefit of my VA loan status? Now, later in the comments, they dropped that they ended up not selling the property. So one benefit that you have when you have a VA home loan is that most of them, not all, depending on what year they were originated, but most of veterans currently will have a VA loan that is assumable. So I'm going to give you an example of it, and I'm going to talk about how this piece works, because there's a lot of hidden treasure that's out there. So if I want to list my property for $500,000, and I, for example, for educational purposes, I have a first mortgage at $400,000 with a 2.25% interest rate. Dwayne comes in and says, look, I'm a veteran. I want to buy your home for $500,000, but I want your sweet $400,000 mortgage at 2.25%. So if Dwayne has the $100,000 to put down on the property, or a seller can do a seller second, then technically Dwayne could, we just basically swap benefits. He puts his benefits onto my VA loan and I free up my VA home loan benefits, right? So that's a great way to be able to utilize the VA loan with assumptions, especially in markets where that's, let's say, not as competitive and you're trying to offload your property. Now, this question is a question that I also wonder, why would a veteran give up their VA home loan benefits to a non-veteran? Because when that happened, or even actually a veteran to a veteran, I could say, Dwayne, hey, I'm going to assume your house, but I want to lock your benefits in. So you can do that. Because when a veteran to veteran transaction happens, it has to be a primary residence. But if I want to come in and lock in another veteran's benefits, I could assume it as a primary, a second home, or an investment property. It is very powerful tool. And we've seen a large number of veterans give up their VA home loan benefits, because you have to be aware that majority of veterans are like Vietnam veterans. So we have a lot of older veterans that do not want to reuse their benefits. So they are leaving their benefits behind. Because I'm with you guys. I was like, what? But I come across it so much now that I'm like, I need to get in on this game. The challenge is you have to have the cash difference. And for a lot of people, I would tell you that you can leverage different investment vehicles you have. I'm not a financial advisor, so talk to them, talk to an attorney, talk to your CPA before you make these crazy decisions. But some people are sitting on money that they can take out and leverage to assume these properties, because again, a lot of benefits to doing that. One, there's no appraisal, so if the gap is small, you might be sitting in a pretty good position to take that over. Dwayne, I know we've talked about it a couple of times, but like it's a powerful tool, especially like in Florida. We have a lot of veterans that might be moving, that are not utilizing the VA loan anymore. The rates are low, so rentability of a property, right? Especially if they bought in the 2020, 21, or they refinanced during that time, maybe there's not a large equity gap. You have a lot of rentability with that. For sure. It's just a matter of coming up with the difference on a spread. And technically, you can get a second mortgage. There are companies that offer them. But the parameters are very different. So you can qualify for a first mortgage with a second mortgage, but you may not qualify for a second mortgage with a first, because of how tight the requirements are on the second. If you have questions, check out the channel. I did a whole video on it.
I was going to ask you if you had a video on it.
Yeah, just because I know I've been getting that question so much lately, just from people that have scheduled calls with me on that. So no, Paul, thanks for joining us. Mary Lou, thank you. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight, spending your Monday evening with us.
Yeah, we still got to figure out when we're going to do that extended live stream.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do have to figure that out. So if you guys don't know, we did a 12-hour live stream. We brought guests on to the live stream, talked about VA stuff. I mean, all things VA related. So, what's the next one? How long is it going to be?
We said 4 hours.
4 hours? Okay.
Yeah, cool. Not to 12. Not to. The SCBO video just stressed us out just because of the new admin roller coaster. Say what the again, it was proposed in December, and this is how I know people didn't watch the video. Because they were saying, and not get political, they were like, oh, look at what Trump is doing. It was in December 2024. He wasn't in office yet. So I know that people didn't watch the video. But I was going to say something earlier, David, about we were talking and I said, hey, they proposed that back in April 2023. And you like, I didn't know it. They passed a bill in December that gives the VA secretary of the VA the power to remove DBQs from the website.
I remember that was a big deal.
Yeah, they introduced that like July 2023. I didn't know about it until like a week after Biden had signed it signed the bill. And I'm like, we were all asleep at the wheel. So that's why I tell people, regardless if they're proposing or whatever they're doing, we need to be talking about. Here's the thing. I did the video about VA benefits being cut. It was a viral video, got like over 100,000 views in 24 hours. 2,700 comments. I had to turn the comments off because I'm still trying to go through and respond.
I know, yeah.
And here's the thing. I go back and look at the link where I'm sharing, my screen, and hardly any veterans left comments there. But they left me over 2,500, 2,700 comments. You go to the VA's website and do it. When they Doug Collins, when he did that video, and I think you shared it, I shared it on that channel. You scroll down below, they can leave comments. And vets don't do it, but they'll come on YouTube and do it.
Well, that's the crazy part. Like, I watched the video. He got less views than I did on the video that I did on him. And it was just crazy because I'm like, but less people commented on that video. But that's directly to the VA. And and the thing is, our numbers are shrinking. So I'm not saying like we're like this is a rally to something, but like you have to. Like, you have to speak up because otherwise the benefits and anything that we have is going to go away. So I think this is what we do, right? We bring it to everyone's attention because we're also veterans. And then that way we're like, all right, like we got to stand up for our rights.
Yeah. Really. And even that bill that when I did the video about the bill being passed, giving the secretary the power, people were like, oh, it's the Democrats' fault. Or it's the Republicans' fault. Well, guess what? There was two individuals that introduced it. One was Republican and one was Democrat. And people did. And I said that in the video, and I could just tell people didn't watch the whole video. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. But that leads me to this. If you're not paying attention to an 8-9 minute video, what amount of attention are you paying when it comes to your VA claim? Because to read a notification letter in a rating decision, depending on how many conditions you claim, it might take you 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Can't be throwing that in the chat GPT, like, give me my decision here.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. And like, just like with our stuff, it's like you could read the VA handbook, which is 616 pages, but you got to know how to be able to implement that on there. So Paul, thanks for joining us from Tampa.
Where you at, Paul?
Yeah, you guys enjoying that beautiful weather? Actually, up in Chi-Town, it's actually been decent today. The snow has finally melted, which is very positive. Thank you for sharing with us. I think somebody's going to comment. It's a good money for asking better run with it or wait for a better offer. So they were just referring back to the about doing the assumption. But again, everyone's situation's a little bit different. Thank you.
Yeah. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Get those likes up. How many likes we got?
You know what? I think it might be delayed on mine because it only shows 1. That can't be right.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Somebody got a question. If I use my current lender to purchase a new home after selling, do I get the chance to negotiate a same interest rate? I have a 2.5 at the moment. I missed the reduction in rate to 1.53 years ago. All right. So this is a good question because I do get this question a lot as well. So, and there was some type of, I don't know, like some type of video someone did that went very viral where they're like, oh, if you have a current mortgage and you have this rate, you could then transfer that mortgage onto a new property. And I still am confused on how that's even possible. So, but the thing is, though, it's a good question because you're like, hey, I have a loan with a current lender. They're servicing this mortgage. And that's going to be the key, the term to that is that, people ask, especially with government loans, because the VA guarantees the VA loan. The VA does not set interest rates for the general public. I say that because they do control the NADL program, which is Native American Direct Loan Program, and any type of programs within the VA. Okay, that's it. Everything else, regular VA loans, all of that is fair, like open market practices. I think they decided to do that back in the 90s, where the VA had the secretary had the power to do it, but they decided not to do it because, in a way, I think it's positive because otherwise the VA would be administering all of that, which might be a nightmare. So if you sell your home and you go to purchase a new one, you will be looking at what the current market rates are. You won't be transferring that interest rate to a new property. Now, the only way that you may have is if you did a cash out refinance at that time, you get a really low rate and you're sitting on that money and you're reinvesting that money. Okay, I can see that, in a way that you could just that would be the case, but there's no way to actually transfer that on that. This one, can the Rude Rabbit? I think he's been on a couple of times. Can the VA loan be used for expat other countries? So the VA loan can be used within the United States and its territories. So, but you can't like just get a straight up. Like we have a lot of people that are stationed, let's say in Germany, because they're stationed in Germany. They're like, hey, I want to use my VA loan and purchase a property in Germany. Well, you can't use a VA loan for that. You would have to get a loan in that country for that. Now, the way to go around that is if you have a house in the United States and you have equity in that property, or you have, for VA loan purposes, it has to be your primary residence, then you could do a cash out refinance and pull equity out of your property. So you need $200,000. Let's, for example, you take that $200,000 and you purchase a property overseas. That is something you can do. Or you get a home equity line of credit or a HE loan, which is a second mortgage. Because that's a question that a lot of people have is like, hey, if I have a really low interest rate right now, I don't want to touch that, but I need access to all this equity that I have in my property. So that's something that you guys got to just be tracking for that. Yeah, so you could definitely be able to leverage that. So good question. Good question. Next one is, can you please explain the VA funding fee? So if you guys don't know, the VA charges what's called the VA funding fee. And this fee basically helps operate the VA, right? They are trying to not be a burdensome on taxpayers. They're trying to actually be funded themselves. Now, this VA funding fee changes based on if it's the first time you're using it, if it's subsequent use, meaning you're using it more than one time, and if you're putting a down payment of 0%, 5%, or 10%. So the VA, in a way, encourages people to put a down payment on the property, which a lot of veterans, ask them. They're like, well, why would you even ask? I want to do 100% financing. But if you have a 10% or greater VA disability rating, then you don't have to pay that VA funding fee. So that is a powerful tool. And again, the VA loan is a life benefit. And for people that are out there, if you haven't filed disability, you'll definitely go sit down with somebody, see what's going on, and see what you can file. Because I'll tell you that it's a lot of money, the VA funding fee, right? Yeah, let's say you buy a $500,000 property, you use the VA loan before, you don't have disability, and you're doing 100% financing. Well, that VA funding fee is 3.3%, right? So on a $500,000, I'm just doing the quick math, you're paying $16,500 just to use your VA loan. So not only that, you buy the house, you're buying it upside down. So if you file your intent, and if you have questions about that, Dwayne's got to have a video for it. All right. You file your intent at least before you close on the house. And then as you go through the home buying process, you close, you still get charged the VA funding fee. Again, in our example, this case, $16,500. 2 years later, you get your rating, and the effective date is prior to you closing on the loan. You literally contact the VA, and I see them send a check back. So in this case, they're going to send you a check back for $16,500, which you and I could split and hit the casino, put it all on red, and see what happens. But like you have the option of paying down your mortgage. You have the option of taking that money, doing home improvements. There's so many benefits that go with that. but again, doing the research, again, that's how I came across Dwayne, is like doing research and seeing exactly like what are the options that are out there for these benefits that we've earned. Let's take a needs. Oh, I like this one. Do you have one?
I'm new to the process. Yeah, I got a couple of series. Well, I'm trying to think of the name of them. The easiest way, when you go to my channel, don't go to YouTube, but go to my actual channel, and there's a video link. And when you click on the video link, off to the right, there's a magnifying glass. That's a search window.
Mhm.
And you're gonna. I think I did a series in 2021, in 2022, or 2022 and 2023, I believe. But if you go to my channel, type step 1 or part 1, step 2. I did it 2 series videos, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 of the process. That's why I tell people to watch that first. And then one of my first videos, I think it was the second one, 5 ways of service connection. Start there.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Yeah, and definitely VA disability is not a game of checkers, it's a game of chess. Like, you
Yes.
gotta be strategic. You can't. And same thing with like it's with your finances and with real estate. Like, you're not just making decisions or like, oh, I'm gonna do this because I just want to do it, right? Yeah,
Right.
and like Dwayne was saying earlier, is that you have to spend the time researching and reading and having binders, because it's the smallest mistake doesn't, you kind of you do it to yourself.
Yeah.
This one's for you.
My PTSD claim was originally denied. Kept my appointments with my VA psychologist. He then filled out a DBQ for me, and now I've been scheduled for another CMP exam. Is this good? My question would be, why, if you had a sufficient DBQ, why are they scheduling another CMP exam? So a lot of veterans, they're going out paying and getting DBQs and nexus statements, and they don't know if they're sufficient. And then they don't know the regulation that states that the VSR or RVSR may use that private DBQ instead of scheduling a CMP exam. I did a video where I was asking people, when that happens, do you think that's fraud, waste, or abuse? I think it's a lot of waste of manpower, because if you got evidence to use to rate the case, just rate it.
Right.
And some VA employees are doing it, and then some are not.
Thank you. I'm considering moving from the city back to my hometown in rural Arkansas. Can you recommend a website or book on how to buy land for building a home on or moving a trailer on? So there's a couple things here. I did a video about land, and I am the biggest fan of land, because land is a great way to have a savings account, right? Because as we know, land becomes more and more limited as more and more humans occupy this world. And if you're trying to move to a place, let's say in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, if you could pick up land right now for a decent price, you could pay that down over time and eventually actually use the land as equity to build a home, and potentially not use a VA loan, or use a loan where it actually lets you be able to self GC a project. So huge benefits to that. Now, when it comes to land purchases, I also purchased land a couple years ago, and I did not use myself. I didn't use the bank that I work at, because those loans are very specific to a certain area. So typically in the cases like that, I'd recommend just reaching out to your local credit union and figuring out what land purchase deals they have. You can check out like Farm and Credit. So if whatever search engine you have, you could type in Farm and Credit. You can just put land loan. Typically, land 5 acres or more is considered agricultural land. And those are much easier loans to get than trying to get a residential loan off the bat. Two very different processes to purchasing a property. But there's, and then also just contacting the local real estate office to be able to find out about what land is for sale. That would be the best thing. And then also, if you're trying to put a house or a trailer on a property, those can have two different requirements. Some places will have restrictions on how long you can have a trailer on your home. Now, because like even my place in
On your
North Carolina,
home, on your home or your property.
on your land.
Okay.
Yeah, because if it's like your home and you have a trailer on it, that's okay. But a lot of times people will have just a trailer, like an RV trailer, even on their land, and then there'll be only a certain time period that they can do that. And so a lot of people can get caught off guard, but still, but then you can't get a separate loan unless you have the equity, which would kind of be odd to do a cash out refinance on land. I've never heard of that. But essentially, you still have to put a well, septic, and draw power to the property, right? So those are going to be things you have to consider that you're going to pay out of pocket. Maybe that's already sounding like $30,000 to $40,000. Just saying that. All right, next one. It's a good one. What is the best way to find a lower rate on a VA loan as far as refinancing? Schedule a call with me. That's really the easiest thing because I could take a look at it. People have different ideas of ridiculous is. So I had someone reach out today and they're like, hey, I'm trying to do this. I'm like, you're already at a great rate. You're not going to be able to do anything. And I want to point out something right now. Lenders are taking, I feel like the marketing people out there are seeing what's happening in the markets and it's going crazy. And you get bombarded with mailers, text messages, emails. So make sure that you guys go to donotcall.gov. Let me find this other website. Donotcall.gov. Put your number out on there. And then that way you guys stop getting phone calls. And the other one is optoutprescreen.com. That's for Equifax, Experian, TransUnion got together. It makes you good for 5 years of people not soliciting you. Okay. I'm on there because I was getting 20 to 25 calls a day and it's free. This is like by the consumers. I don't make money. This is an affiliate. Okay. This is like from the government and from these, they made these agencies do this just so you can stop getting spammed, but still it will come through. If it's too good to be true, most of the time it is. If you check the front of the card and the back of the card, because a lot of times, even my own customers would be like, I got this letter from you. Why did you send this to me? And when I'm like, send me a picture of the front and the back. I'm like, look at the bottom. Look at the marketing. It says they're not affiliated, but they catch your information from public records. And, I've called a lot of people's advertisements because I'm like, I want that interest rate too. And then they're like, oh, it's not available, or it's going to cost you like 3 points. So like 15,000 plus another 15,000 in closing costs. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But that's something you just really have to be aware of when it comes to that. This one is for you.
Correction, military and medical separation. If the separation percentage is used to make your current VA comp, you have to have a deduction for repayment. But if that separation medical percentage assigned is not used to meet your current VA comp level, the back pay stops last, but do not raise that specific medical claim at VA with other time as you add claims. So what they're talking about, and Raiders, I never touched any of these. This is all VSR stuff. Okay. But let's say you 100% and the severance pay, the medical severance pay is for the back. And you're only 10% for the back. That's all they're going to withhold, that 10%. If it's 40%, they're going to withhold 40% of that 100%. I don't keep up with that because I didn't do any of that when I was at the VA. That was all VSRs, but I remember VSRs telling me that. But you still can request a hardship.
All right. Thank you, Wayne, for supporting us. Hello from chilly Milwaukee. I'm not far from you. I'm an hour south, straight south of 94. So
I got a nephew up there that's a firefighter.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I should go up there and grab lunch with him one day.
Summertime.
Yeah, summertime. Yeah, let me know if you're gonna be coming into Chicago. That's like when we swap. Like I come out by you during when it's cold, you come out by me when it's warm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
If I put can you still hear me, Dave? I know
I can hear you.
okay. All right. If I put an original claim in for PTSD, mental health, and it got denied, but within the 1 year time frame, I added supplemental mental health proof. Would the effective date be? It should go back to the original date of claim or the original date of intent to file. As long
I
as you
think
got it within 365 days.
it was the second part after he read
It
that.
was denied. A submitted supplemental got approved within 1 year. Got approved for a different mental health condition. Does the effective date? It should, because mental is mental.
Thank you. Tony, what's up? Thank you for joining us from Northern Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky.
I like it.
My claim, but my paperwork says 50 for PTSD, 10% for left knee, 10% for right knee. It's not 2 + 2 = 4. It's 2 + 2 = 3. VA math is what they call it.
Yeah, they have a lot of calculators online that you can go to, and I think even the VA has one. I don't know if the VA is as good as some of the private companies, but
yeah,
you could definitely check that out.
I still use the spreadsheet that I had when I first started rating. I still got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I recently got my approved decision for the correct effective date for my GERD claim, but the increased rating was given a difference of opinion by the rater. Is this normal? My current rating is 10%. So I need to do a video on difference of opinion. I was looking it up the other day. So basically, let's just say a rater denies you for whatever reason, and you decide to do a high-level review, then the DRO can do a difference of opinion and overturn that, just saying, oh, I got a difference of opinion. And based on this, and this, I can grant the benefit.
Wow. This one is, what do you think about buying down interest rates? So it's a good question because it depends on your situation. And I'll give you guys a good example. Sometimes people will be like, look, David, I am paying $6,000 to save a quarter of an interest rate. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're saving like $40 a month for $6,000? I'm assuming that within your time, you're going to refinance, right? Most people think like, once I buy a house, I'm never going to refinance again, or I'm never going to sell. And I'll tell you this, most people move within 7 years and most people refinance within 3 years because it's a cycle, right? So people jumped on that bandwagon last November. Tons of people refinance, but you know what they did? They locked in the equity that they had, because if interest rates drop, like, people think like, oh, I'm going to wait for rates to drop. Well, guess what? Everyone that's sitting on the sidelines is going to jump in, and it's going to negate any savings that you had. When it comes to, unlike your VA benefits, all that happens with like your VA disability benefits is like they seem to get worse over time. Like as in like they're approving less and less things. So it's the same thing there, right? You do it when you're like, hey, I'm thinking about filing disability. That's when you file disability.
Right.
You don't wait until I'm going to wait till they don't allow tinnitus anymore for me to file for tinnitus or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's or like the sleep apnea thing. So it's the same thing with home buying. But you have to be ready for it, right? You have to get your documents in a row, just like you do with disability. So so that rate down, buy down thing. I'm gonna drop a video soon. It's called "What is a Par Rate," which may not sound very fun or exciting, but it's something you need to understand the difference between lending institutions. And some lending institutions you go to, you don't have to do a buy down for that same rate. So there's some things that you want to think about when it comes to that process. There we go. 55 likes and more people on. Yeah, we've definitely seen a spike. So thank you for that. This was good. So we always talk about, thanks to both of you. I did get my funding fee refunded. So that is awesome. That's what we're talking about. That's like, but people, you don't have to believe us. It's the people that you have to believe. So thank you for that. Let's take a look. I think people are asking about a calculator online. If it's a VA funding fee calculator, I'll tell you guys that you can just do a quick like a search, like VA funding fee 2025. They did an update, I believe it was earlier last year or in 2023, to the VA funding fee, where it did get reduced and how much they're charging. So I think that was very positive for the veteran community with those pieces. All right, so another question: can I pay my own property tax and insurance even though the lender says their policy is to have an escrow and they pay it? So there's different stages of making these requests. So one, insurance, I haven't. Well, let's backtrack. So this, when you get a mortgage, when you're applying for a mortgage, they may say, "Hey, it's our policy that we escrow for taxes and insurance." But once you are with your servicer, then you can ask them, like, "Hey, can you waive my taxes and insurance?" So, like, I did that with my mortgage company. After I closed on my place, I said, "Hey, I want the taxes removed and I want my homeowner's insurance removed." All they said is, after you've made 6 mortgage payments, you could just go ahead and make that request in writing, and then you get a refund of everything. So I literally got a check back for all my escrows. I got a check back for all my insurance, and then I just pay it on my own. Now, you got to be careful because people can put themselves in bad positions, and I'll explain why. You could be the most on-time mortgage payment guru. All right, you're making all your mortgage payment on time, 15 years on time, on time, on time. You let go of your taxes because a life event happens. Someone comes in and buys those taxes. They can foreclose on your home and they won't owe a penny on that mortgage because of the tax bill. So that's the downside. So you really have to be careful with that. And if you become late on your paying your taxes and your mortgage company finds out, now all of a sudden you're going to have to set up escrows. There's like a whole process that you're going to go through. So you really have to be on it. And unfortunately, I've also seen this on reverse mortgage situations where people opt to do it themselves. So just be mindful when you're doing that. This one's for you.
I think they were saying Elaine. They were talking to Elaine.
Oh,
bilateral factor, which adds 10%. Yeah. So in that calculator, there is bilateral factor. And I still have an old Excel spreadsheet that they gave us when I was in my initial Raider training. And on the left, you got the bilateral factor, which means you have to select left knee, right knee, and then on the right is the other conditions that do not fall under the bilateral factor. So even if you're using a calculator, you have to be very cognizant and know, one, what are you service connected for, and putting in, right elbow, right shoulder, left shoulder, etc.
Awesome. My agent told me an hour before signing that I did have to pay property taxes in Georgia after he had told me the whole time there was a way around it since I'm 100%. This types of information falls on us as veterans, us as homeowners. I did a whole video on it. It's like VA disability with the VA loan. And basically, I break down how to search this information because every county and state is different, right? You're in Florida, so it's county based. I'm in Illinois, and it's state based, and it was then also county based. It was contradicting, and then they passed a law finally to get all these clowns on the same page, okay? Because it was like, you don't understand, like if you were over a certain assessed value, you didn't get any tax breaks, while the county over would get a tax break for the difference. It was just ridiculous on how they did it, but they fixed that. So this is why it's so important for you to look up the county assessor's office. You reach out to the county assessor's office, and I encourage you to go to their office and then have them show you where on their website and in their legislation it shows that you're going to get that break. Because unfortunately, I've just seen too many people like, this is what I'm thinking. Oh, my agent's telling me, and then there's no, like, they're wrong. And that's a big impact. Especially like in some states, man, it is wild. Like $500,000 property, $17,500 in taxes. Well, in other parts of the country, you're paying like $1,200. And I'm like, like a huge difference, right? Especially if you're thinking that. And I had that happen to a buddy of mine where he went into it's like, oh, I'm gonna get this thing, I'm not gonna pay taxes. I'm like, no, like you actually have to pay. He's like, no, man, you're wrong. I'm going to the county to find out. And they go to the county. He's like, you're right. I'm like, I know. Like that's you have to be careful with that. And two parts, right? Qualifying for a loan without property taxes is one thing. You can technically do that. Not all lenders can do that. So again, you guys want to connect with me, I'm happy to go through that. And then otherwise, it's going to be the servicing. So I currently have a VA loan on a property in Oklahoma, but looking to build a property in Florida. I heard I can use the VA loan on more than one property, providing I'm selling a current home. No, you can have unlimited VA loans. I have a whole video on that. At some point, you run out of entitlement. So if you need your full entitlement in order to do the construction loan, then yes, you would have to do that. Next question, David. So does the area you want to purchase determine the max limit of a VA loan? Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If you don't have an outstanding VA loan, there's no limit. You want to buy a $5 million, 20-bedroom, 40-bathroom place with 20 acres, you can do that, right? As long as you meet the eligibility, meaning you have a VA loan and it's not tied into a property, or it won't be tied in when you close. And then the qualification, can you afford that property? What happens when you have multiple VA loans, it goes back to the old rules. So 2 sets of rules, right? No VA loan, we party. No limit, let's do it. If you have we're going to keep our current VA loan, and the VA is like, hey, listen, like we're going to kind of tame it back a bit, right? It's going to be based on the single family loan limit of the area you're buying in, which right now is in general $806,500. And if it's across if it's in areas where it's a high balance, it's like $1.2 million and some change. So your benefits change based on where you go. Going to a place or away from place will change.
I didn't know they use a lot of nurse practitioners instead of doctors. But yeah, they can use physician assistants. I'm sorry, physician assistants. Nurse practitioners. Yeah, I've seen PAs and nurse practitioners grant more than medical doctors.
They're nicer. That's why.
I've seen it. Currently at 70% for various injuries. I currently have the PTSD claim in with a CMP examination schedule. If I get 70%, would that make? I don't know. Because out of that 70%, in that 70%, for those various injuries, it's at the back at 40%. If it's migraines at 50%, is it a left knee, right knee? You got to take all that into play. It's not 70 plus 70 equals 140. I'm 100%.
That's awesome.
Well, more than likely, I would say yes, but I would have to look at those other conditions. I was awarded 30% hearing loss and 10% tinnitus, then removed it from my rating. It now says deferred, and I just had another CMP exam for hearing loss. Okay, so for them to do that, you had to receive a adverse action, a proposal to reduce. And a lot of veterans, when that happens, they do not read that notification letter, because in that notification letter, it tells you what your options are. And one of those options is an RVSR hearing. Not only do I have a video on it, I got 2 videos on an RVSR hearing, and one of them is recent.
Oh, wow. I thought when you originally read that, I thought you said hair loss. I'm like, man, we're both going to be at 100. Is hair loss a real thing? Can you get V disability for hair loss?
Was it alopecia? I believe it was. Is that what it's called? Alopecia?
Yeah, we got alopecia. That's what's going on.
Bobby Bow. I recognize that name from somewhere. Great to see you, Dwayne. Long time, still great content. Like and share this content goes. Get those likes up. Bobby Bow, are you in Brooksville, Florida? I think he is in Brooksville. Spring Hill, somewhere up there. Good to see you.
Yeah, if it wasn't for insurance these days, I would have used my pre-approval VA loan. Yeah, they're just basically commenting that insurance costs in Florida have gone up. And for some people, oh, you know what? Let me make a quick like public announcement with this. Is that right now is about the time of the year where you may be shocked that your mortgage payment has gone up, sometimes a little, sometimes a significant amount. I've talked to people that mortgage payments have gone up over $1,000, and like, how does this even possible? So two things happen, a couple things happen throughout the year. One, when you hit your loan anniversary for your mortgage, your insurance typically goes up. So if you're not tracking that at least a month in advance and adjusting or letting the servicer know that, hey, my insurance has gone up, my escrows need to adjust, you need to track that. Two, property taxes typically go up every year. And if you're sitting in an area where like, oh, my property is appreciated, 20% in the last 3 years, you might want to be worried because your taxes are about to go up a significant amount. So make sure you guys are tracking that. And I did a whole video on that, but it's just so important because these small things cause so much panic for everyone, right? Veterans or not, that you really need to understand that.
We had a guy, Tony. I think we skipped over him. He had a question about BDD claims.
Oh,
Yeah, Bobby.
let me
Gold.
put that up.
For BDD claims of the VA Gold with the rating date when you file. No, it's the date after you get out of service. So if your retirement date or separation date is June 1st and you filed your claim, let's say January 1st, your effective date will be June 2nd. Cannot double dip.
That's and another well, with that too, people have questions about, hey, if I'm doing my VA disability claim, can I go ahead and buy a home now before I get discharged? And then what's gonna be, am I gonna get my VA funding fee returned back to me? No, because like Dwayne said, it's the same thing applies here. They don't go before your discharge date, they do it at your discharge date. So that is a very, very good. Let me see what's we got a question here. Good evening. I'm new to you guys' channel. Thank you. I have a question. I purchased a home 15 years ago, not using a VA loan. Now that I'm 100%, is it possible to refinance into a VA loan? Couple things I want to mention with this. It sparked some inspiration. One, if you have a VA disability, you don't need to use a VA loan to get the property tax breaks if you qualify for them. You just need to be on the title. So if you have a conventional loan, you can get your VA disability property tax waiver if you qualify. If you are 100% permanent in total, you live with your kids or like with your child, they own a home, they put you on the title, same thing. You can get a property tax break. So keep that in mind. Now, if you didn't use a VA loan, you can always refinance into a VA loan. Obviously, a lot more flexibility. We helped somebody with that last year that we used a conventional loan, but then they needed to do a VA loan to do a cash out refinance to pay off some debt, and it was life-changing for them. So you definitely have that option. You can refinance out of a conventional loan into a VA loan, and then you can also do the opposite, right? But there's definitely some pieces to that. I think this one is for you.
Once you're 100%, would it hurt to get an increase on claims that receive? Two things. One, it's not going to give you any additional money unless it gets you the criteria. You get to meet the criteria for some type of SMC, which you would get paid the SMC amount on top of the 100%.
That's awesome. All right, next one, 100% visa disabled veterans still pay non-ad valorem property taxes, still a discount compared to that. So what they're talking about is sometimes your area will have special tax assessments. You are not exempt from special taxes. Now, this definitely varies by county. So make sure you know what those requirements are, because sometimes we'll be like, oh, veterans 100% disqualified or 100% exempt from paying property taxes. But then we look at the tax bill and we see these special taxes that they're not exempt for. Then we have to collect escrows for. So keep that in mind. Someone's talking about use the VA loan 21, 3% fixed, not moving. That's a lot of people. And that's one of the main issues with housing inventory. We just got a couple minutes left, and then we're
Yep.
gonna cut out.
Dwayne have type 2 diabetes, a thyroid, station on ship on list, exposed to Agent Orange, was in Navy 6872, still fighting since 2013, been denied so many times. What to do? Type 2 diabetes, if you are on a ship, you are what is considered blue water. Go to the M21-1 manual reference, type in blue water, and you had to be like 12 nautical miles from the shore of Vietnam, and I can't remember how far off of Cambodia and stuff like that. Yep.
Oh wow. And then we'll wrap this up with the last question for you. And
Been rated at 100% for PTSD with insomnia over 5 years independently. I plan on filing for aid and attendance based on needing regular assistance for my medication management. It's not that easy. Make sure you watch my video on SMCL and what the criteria is.
that's awesome. Well, thanks guys for joining us today. Absolute pleasure answering all the questions. Make sure you guys check out the channels, hit the like and subscribe button. We do videos every month. So, we'll definitely be around to answer your questions. Dwayne, you want to close us out with anything else?
Sure. Just make sure you subscribe to both channels. I think, what did we agree upon, David? The third Wednesday of
Yeah.
every month. We had to switch it due to some scheduling conflicts. But make sure you subscribe to both channels, KMD 89 VA Claims Consulting, VA Housing Education. And another thing, click that notification button because it should pop up on your timeline and say, hey, as soon as we post it, and you can click notify, and it will keep notifying you, like, scheduling on your computer. It'll come up and say, 15, hour, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, and you get snooze or dismiss. So make sure you hit that notification button. So when Dave uploads a video, you get notified. When I upload a video, you'll get notified. And I am scouring the VA's website, other articles as it pertains to all this madness on compensation benefits. And when I hear something, I'll definitely let you know. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of things are moving in real time, and we'll be doing updates on that as well. So thanks, guys. Thanks again for joining us, and you guys have a great evening.